Hey everybody, welcome back to Lindsay Lou's Woodworking Channel. I am going to do a real quick car seat tray, activity tray today. We have another hurricane brewing in our area and it looks like we'll be evacuating, me and two toddlers all by ourselves. Today I'm going to be using this piece of just thin plywood. I just had my little baby model here in his seat. I drew a circular line around his body so that this would be really far away from his body. And I also went ahead and drew lines on the board where his car seat cup holders are going to be. So I definitely want to cut out the cup holders. I want to make sure that he is going to be able to use his cup holders for his drinks while we're traveling. And all right, everybody, we are continuing our quick and easy build for a car seat tray. This is going to be kind of like an activity tray, but it's going to be a hard surface. I did a quick search online a while ago to see if I could find something for my kiddos, and most of them were soft and collapsible, which is great if you're doing lots of different types of travel, but this tray is going to be only for the car. So today we're going to be building our car seat tray we're going to be making the custom cuts on our Black & Decker band saw. That'll give us an opportunity to make nice round cuts for the child to give their body a little bit of space. We are also going to be putting this together with our brad nailer. So I'm probably going to use some wood glue as well, just to ensure a nice strong hold, but the edges of the tray are not going to be able really to be reached by the child. It's just to ensure that their snacks and their toys and things that they're using to color with won't fall off of the tray while we're making our trip. Okay, so let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is make the cuts out of the actual tray. And then we're going to cut some 1x3 boards that will actually go on the sides of the tray. And then finally, we'll use the brad nailer and some glue to kind of put it all together. This board right here is 20 by 25. As with most of my projects, this is a reclaimed board. It is a piece of thin plywood and it does have a finish on it. You could use any board for this, as long as it's big enough to cover the child's lap. It should work great. And I'll be sure to give you all some feedback about how these trays worked out and show you the finished product. Okay, great. So we have the cutout there for the child. Okay, so it's not going to be any way to get the bandsaw into this hole for the cup holder without really making a big cut in the side of our board, and I don't want to lose the integrity of the outside edge of the board. So I've got my nice kettlebell here. I use kettlebells a lot when I'm working alone because it gives you nice stability on your board without having somebody else there to hold it down. So what we're going to do is I have this really cool hole, drill hole. It's like a little mini saw. It drills a hole with the bit to keep the saw in place, and then it's going to make a nice big hole. And I just bought this cute little handy saw. I've never used it before, so we're learning this together. I'm going to drill one hole at the cusp of the cup holder, and then I'm going to drill another big hole at the back where I want my actual cutout to end. And then we're just going to try to use the saw and see if we can go all the way around. It's probably not going to look great, but I can sand it down, and this is, like I said, quick and easy project. If we can get it done, awesome. Road trip might be, soon, so we're going to make do with what we have. Make sure you're nice and perpendicular here. And make sure you have your drill forward, not in reverse like I did. All right, so it does bite whenever it hits the board. So there we go. Nice even pressure. Don't try to muscle it. All right, awesome. Okay, so we've got a disc out on one side. Now let's get a disc out on this side. We're just going to kind of connect these two and then see if we can go around with our handy saw. cutouts are always pretty tough to get out. And if you have little boys like I do, these make great wheels. So I've made lots of little cars and wheels using these little cutouts as wheels. Just a little extra FYI there. First time for everything. Let's see if we can use the handy saw to make a cut here. Okay, so we started off by just drilling 2 holes with the bit, and then I tried to use the handsaw to do the rest of it. But this is some really hard kind of, let's see, 5-ply particle board, and that was really a lot more work and taking up way too much time. So what I ended up doing is just drilling a whole bunch of holes with this, as many holes as I could to get as much of the wood out as possible. Then I just took the saw and sawed off the little tiny points and then sanded it down, and it's nice and smooth, no splinters here. My son and I just did a test run. It fits perfectly over his cup holder. So we're going to go on to the other side and do this one. And then we're going to measure and cut the edges and attach those. Okay, I am really pleased with how our board turned out with the cuts. I ended up, like I said, I ended up using the drill bit that drills the big holes. I think this is an 1.5 inch bit, and I just ended up drilling that second hole all the way around. It's not a perfect, even survey. There are fancy tools that do all these kinds of things, but I'm not working with fancy tools. I'm working with what I've got, and those tools are great. But this is all about doing what we can on a budget. So we've got our holes. It fits on the car seat great. The drinks can go in both of the cup holders, which is awesome. And the next thing we're going to do is frame this so that the kids can keep their crayons and their magnetic tiles and all those things on their tray while they're playing going down the road. I started to measure the backboard, and I was going to cut it first, but then I realized we really need to put our sides on. So because when we put our side on, it's actually going to extend the length of the back, and we want to make sure that that backboard attaches into both of our side pieces. So I've got our boards ready to go. So I'm actually going to need 4 boards. It will save me some time if I just use a stop. So I'm going to bring you on over to the saw and show you my makeshift stop for the day. Also a fancy thing that you can buy for your saw, also something that is not in my budget right now. So I'll bring you over here, show you how I've created a longer stop than I was using before, and we'll get the sideboards cut, and then we'll go ahead and re-measure to determine the length of our backboard. So the last time I did a stop, I just did it off of the end of my table here, which is what my saw sits on all the time. That's not going to be long enough. That cut, the original cut that I was doing with that stop was about 12 inches, but now I need a 20-inch long piece. So instead of trying to create some fancy stop, all I did was open up the drawer of my toolbox, clamp my board down on this, and now from the center of where my saw blade cuts to our new stop is going to be right at 20 inches. So, you know, I just want to encourage everybody to get creative. If you're watching a lot of these videos, you're going to see all kinds of awesome stuff, but you do not need to have all of that to create these projects. All right, great. We've got 4 boards cut, all at 20 inches. I measured that a lot of times before I made any cuts, and I re-measured my tray so that we would make sure it matched. I'm just using scrap wood. My kids don't know the difference or care, and I don't either. If you want to purchase wood that's all gonna go together, that's absolutely fine. Like I said, I'm working with what I've got and doing this quick and cheap. So, great. These sides line up perfectly, and now the next step is just measuring the backstop board. Got that edge lined up over there. This edge over here is lined up. My sides aren't actually attached, so it makes it just a little bit more difficult, but this piece is not for sale. It's not going to be going in any kind of store. It's going in my car for my toddlers. You guys know what's going to happen after they use it a few times. It's going to have stuff spilled on it, and it's going to be well loved. So all I did there, put a board on each end, drew a line across this. I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and then we're going to get out the brad nailer, and we're going to start brad nailing these down. Okay, our sides match up perfectly. I just did a quick sand on the boards. I didn't have to, but I just wanted to make sure that it was free of splinters. That would not be make for a good road trip. So the next thing is the brad nailer, or attaching the sides. So first, let me just say, I've said a couple times, work with what you have, and this is definitely not a necessity to complete this project. You could do glue, you could also do small screws or nails, and then I'm just gonna hold this on here with my hand. I'll probably put a brad nail right in the middle, and then just work my way either side. So let's get started. Just make sure that we're nice and flush on both sides here. We are. And then we've got our board here. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold it way back here. It's not going anywhere because it's got a brace there. And then we're gonna go ahead and put some nails in. Okay, great. Brad nailer. I'm gonna finish this side, put the back on, then do the other side, and then we're gonna run a little bit of glue around this, and we're all done. This project isn't gonna take a whole lot of time, and I used all scrap wood. So I'm really happy. We're gonna have a free activity tray for our car seats for a road trip with next to nothing and just a couple hours of effort. All right, we have successfully brad nailed the tray together, the sides on. Really happy with how that turned out. And now I'm gonna use, I like this Wellbond. It's universal adhesive. And the thing I like the most about this, I use Titebond as well a lot, wood glue, but the wood glue doesn't dry clear and this does. So I'm just gonna put a bead of this around the edges and kind of smooth it out with my fingers, and then we're gonna be all done.
Happy Boy modeling out his brand new activity tray.